What's going on, my friends? I am Rolando the Board Dad. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another solo playthrough. Today I'm going to be doing a solo playthrough of Explorers. Explorers is a flip and write, and it is designed by Phil Walker Harding, published by Ravensburger. It is 1 to 4 players and it plays in about 20 minutes. That's pretty accurate. In Explorers, you're going to be starting from a village and exploring the land, and you're going to do what every good explorer does: score a lot of points. Let's get right into it. Let me show you how the game plays and what it's all about. And the first thing you're going to notice is this thing looks like a punch board all punched out but it's not. This is a game board, and we're going to be putting a few things in here that's going to complete it. So let me show you how to set this up. You have 8 tiles, and they're all numbered in somewhere on the tile here on the village for that particular quadrant. So for example, this is tile number 1, this is tile number 2, and so forth. There are 8 of these, and what you're going to do is you're just going to either pick 4 or shuffle them and randomly pick 4, and you're going to lay them out here on your board. So what I like to do is just shuffle them and just pick 4 at random. This backside has to do with an advanced variant, which we'll cover at the end of the game. I'm going to play just the basic simple game. All right, so I'm just going to dish out 4 tiles here, and the rest will just go back in the box. So I ended up with tile number 8, 6, 3, and 2. And now I can orient these in any way I want. In the multiplayer game, one player would do what I just did, and then everybody else would have to choose the same numbers for their 4 tiles and orient the tiles the same way as the first player or the main player. In my case, I'm just going to orient them and these 4 don't have to all be in the same orientation. I could put this one like this, and then I can, if I wanted to, I could lay this one out like that, and I can put this one upside down. Why don't we just go ahead and do that? There we go. But again, in a multiplayer game, you can do the same thing, but everybody else has to pick the same tiles and orient them the same way. Okay, and then these are going to go here in this spot, just like that. These also have a backside for the more advanced variant. So we put the jewels here, we put this other, this is called the village scoring, and then this is going to track how many provisions you find throughout your adventure. So this is how the board setup looks. Next part of the setup is to choose a starting village. So again, each quadrant has a village. It's this little square right here. And so we're going to pick the village that's closest to the center. And if there's more than one that's relatively in the same spot, you're just going to pick one. I'm going to pick this one right here because it is closest to the center. And I get to mark with an X 3 spaces from that village of the same terrain type. So this kind of gets me on my way, right? So I'm going to start off from this village. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mark these 3 here. So 1, 2, and 3. And that's what's going to track my progress all around these terrains. We're going to be revealing terrain types and crossing them off here on our board as we move along the world. As we do that, we're going to be crossing off certain icons on these terrain types. So there are 4 types of terrain. There are mountain, which is the gray one, prairie, which is the green one, desert, yellow one, and water, the blue ones. If we cross off a square that has a particular icon, it gives us usually some sort of bonus. The horse lets us cross off 1 square of any terrain type we choose, as long as it's adjacent to either our starting village or any other square that we have visited. If we cross off a provision, which can either be a fish, an apple, I think that's an apple. Yep, that's an apple. Or a carrot, we're going to cross it off up here. And if we can, the game plays in 4 rounds. So that's why we have 4 rounds here, and it's represented by these 4 columns. So in a round, if I can cross off one type of provision, I'll score 2 points for that round. If I can cross off 2 different provisions, I would score 5. And if I can cross off all 3, the fish, the carrot, and the apple, I would score 10 points for that round. I don't get anything additional for crossing off more than one of these provisions per round. Okay, and then the other thing I can find on as I explore are these gems. And each time I cross one off on a terrain square here, I will mark it off up here. And for every gem I can find, I get a point at the end of the round. And it's cumulative. So whatever I score in the first round, in the second round, I count those as well, along with whatever I found in the second round, so on and so forth. So that's the second thing I would score at the end of the game is gems. And the other thing I can find in my exploration are these scrolls. And every time I find a scroll, I would circle it up here on the upper left. And whenever I would like to, I can use a scroll as a bonus to explore more on the map. And I'll show you how that works. Next are these keys. Whenever I find a key, which means I would cross it off, I would eventually get to that point in the map. I would then circle a key over here on the upper right. And the keys are necessary in order to explore the temples, which is the last thing on the map. If I don't have a key, I cannot cross off a temple, even though I might be adjacent to it, but I can't enter it without the key. Once I do have a key, I would cross it off, then I would cross off the temple. And then if you notice, each quadrant has a temple. And then I would score the highest value available for that temple. I would just circle it. And then at the end of the game, I would include that in my final score. In the solo game, in rounds 2, 3, and 4, we cross off the highest remaining temple. So it's not available for us for that round and for the rest of the game. Okay, and that's pretty much all the rules. The only thing left is to explain real quick how to choose what terrain you're going to mark off. These little scrolls or cards will get shuffled, and then we will take one of them and just put it aside. So we will not use this one for this round. And then we're going to take one, and before we reveal it, we choose which way to orient this, okay? And then we flip it over, and whatever terrain is pointing towards you, you can mark off 3 of that type of terrain on your map. Or you can choose the one that's facing away from you and mark off 2 of that type of terrain on your map. Now they don't have to be right next to each other. So for example, here the desert, I can mark off 3 desert squares, but they don't have to be all consecutive. But they do have to be next to an adjacent square that's already been marked off. So I could mark off these 3 here because they're right next to my starting village, or I can mark off 2 of them, and then if these were available here because I had already gotten to this prairie, I could mark off 1 up here. You see how that works? Now in the multiplayer game, the position of what's facing towards you and what's facing away from you is also important, but I won't get into those rules right now, although they're very similar. Okay, and then we just reveal another terrain type, and we go from there until they're all gone for that particular round, and then we move on to the next round and do it all over again. So what do you say we go ahead and get started? All right, so we'll just go ahead and start with this. Okay, now once I flip it over, I can't change my mind. All right, I have to stick with what's here. So this means I can mark off 3 desert squares, or two mountain squares, sorry. And you know what? I'm going to go with the two mountain squares because that'll let me cross off this horse. And I immediately choose another terrain type to cross off, okay? And it can't be like over here. It has to be adjacent to something else. And I'm going to go ahead and mark off this prairie square. All right, so that was one. I get to do one more, and I'm going to cross over into this quadrant now. That's it. Now we go to the next one, and again, either 3 mountains or 2 waters. I'm going to go with 3 mountains so that I can go here, here, and then another horse. And then I'm going to use that horse to go ahead and cross off this gem up here. And then I can cross off that gem. So I already scored a point. All right, what do you say we flip this one around and just see what happens? Okay, so these they have 2 terrain types. And again, I can either mark off 3, any combination of prairie and mountain, or 2, any combination of desert and water. So let me see what would be good here. I want to try and expand as much as possible. So in order to do that, I think I'm going to go with the desert and water. I'm going to cross off this provision here, which is the caret. So I'll go up here, cross off the caret. And so that's 1, and I get to do 1 more. I'll do a water, so I will go there. I forgot to mention what this scoring thing is. So at the end of the game, you're going to go to each quadrant and see if you have been able to surround the village orthogonally, so diagonally doesn't count. If you're able to mark off 1 square surrounding the village, you'll score 3 points. If I can mark off 2 squares surrounding the village, I score 5. 3 scores 7, and 4 scores 10. So there is a benefit to just surrounding the village with X's. All right, let's reveal the next one. And now we have either 3 desert or 2 prairie. 3 deserts or 2 prairies. I wish I could jump over here so I can get that key, but I can't because I can't go diagonally, right? But I can branch off this way. So I think I'm going to go with the 3 desert and mark these off here. Gets me closer to another gem. Let's go ahead and flip this one around, see what we get. We get prairie or mountain. Let's go with 3 prairies so that I can cross off this one here to surround the village. So that's 1, 2, and 3. That gives me another gem. All right, I got 2 tiles left. Here is the second to last one. And we can do either 3 waters or 2 deserts. 3 waters or 2 deserts. Okay, so I'm going to go with the water so that I can come here, cross that off. That's 1. And let's go 2 and 3. So that will get me very close to this key and this key, which can unlock either this temple or this temple. Last one. Okay, water and mountain, or prairie and desert. Water and mountain or prairie and desert. All right, I'm going to go with the water and mountain, so I can cross off this key, circle it up here. Now I can either go for this fish, or I can go over here and get this scroll by crossing off 2 mountains. I think I'm going to go with the scroll, because the scroll, what it does is it lets me ignore a tile that I flip over and just choose one terrain type and cross off 4 of that terrain. So it's kind of neat to have in your back pocket. So that's the end of round 1. Let's see what we scored here for the provisions. I was only able to cross off 1 carrot, so that's going to score me 2 points. And then here I found 2 gems, so that's going to score me 2 points. All right, so that's the end of the round. Now we're going to shuffle these up, including the one that we did not use. So as you can see, the game plays pretty quickly. It's very, very simple. The rules are not complicated, but there's a lot of thinking to be done. And the advanced variant is pretty neat too. You can play with objectives, or you can play with a little bit more complicated scoring up here, and that will add to the variety. We'll cover that at the end, as I said. Okay, so here we go, round number 2. And you can always tell what round you're in by the scoring boxes here for the gems and the provisions. So that's a good way of tracking things. Oh, so for the second round, I do have to cross off the highest scoring temples in the quadrants that I have not explored. So now the maximum I can score is 10 points for a temple in this round. Let's go ahead and reveal the first tile, and we've got mountain or water. Mountain or water. I'd love to get a temple in this round. So I'm going to go up here. So there's 1 water, 2 water, and that sets me up for that temple if I can get to it. And that's it. So just 2 water. All right, next one. All right, there it is. So I can mark off 3 prairies or 2 waters. Definitely going to mark this temple off, cross off the key, and I circle the 10 points for that temple. So that is 1 for prairie. I can cross off 2 more. Is there anywhere else that I can get to that has any sort of bonus? If you see anything else, call it out, please. Call it out. And if you don't call it out, go ahead and hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Your choice. Okay, well, there is nothing that I can see that will benefit me. So I'll just go ahead and mark this one off and this one, I guess. All right. Next one is desert and mountain. So let's go with 3 deserts so that I can get this key. Circle it here as available. 1, and then 2 and 3 up here. At least I can start surrounding that village. All right, next one. Water and desert. Water and desert. All right, let's go ahead and do, we'll do water. 1, 2 gets me a fish, and let's go with 3 right there. Maybe setting up for another key. Now, I got to remember I have that scroll, so if something doesn't really appeal to me here, I could always use the scroll. I need to get more gems. This is prairie and mountain. All right, I'm going to go 1, 2, cross off the gem, and 3. Man, I hope I'm going the right way. All right, prairie or mountain. Let's go with prairie here. So we got 1, 2 gives me another key. And we will go 3 right here. Okay. And I'll tell you why, because if this doesn't have a water, I'm going to go ahead and use my scroll so that I can get this gem and I can get this temple as well. So let's go ahead and flip this. And of course I flip it the wrong way. I can either do 3 of these or 2 of these. Now 2 of water would get me exactly what I need, and it would let me save the scroll for a later round. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do 1 water there, and another water here, which lets me circle this temple, and I cross off a key, leaves me with 1 key. Okay, that's great. So that is the end of round 2. I scored 1 provision. I'm not doing that great with the provisions, so that's 2 points. And the gems are 4 points as well. Not doing too great there either. All right, let's go to round 3. Let's include this one. I shouldn't look at the tiles as I'm shuffling them, right? Let's get rid of, let's just, that one in the middle. I'll put it over here so I don't forget it. That way it's on camera. If you see that I don't use it, you can yell at me. Let's go. Round 3. We have prairie or desert. Prairie or desert. This might be a time to use the scroll. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the scroll that I have. And now just pick 1 terrain type, and I can mark off 4 of those squares. And I believe I'm going to choose prairie. This is why, because I can come here and cross that off for 1. I can cross this off for 2, 3 right here. So I'm surrounding that village. And 4 will be the horse. And now the horse lets me cross off a single square of any other terrain type as well. And I'm going to choose this mountain right here so that I can circle another scroll. Nice. But you know, the scrolls don't score me points, so I got to keep that in mind. I can't get too carried away looking for scrolls. All right, we're going to flip this, and we've got desert or water. Now I can branch off of this. You know, I shouldn't have, I'm going to backtrack here. I'm not going to mark this one off because I can go off of this village. So it'll mark that and that, which will get me closer to that apple. Actually, I just checked the rules. I don't think I can do that. Sorry about that. Let's go back to the way it was. There we go. The rules say I can only place X's next to other X's except the initial village. I can go off of the initial village, but it doesn't say anything about other villages. So I'm gonna take it as I read it. All right. So water or desert? Water or desert? Water or desert? Yeah. Let's use the scroll. Okay. I'm gonna choose prairie. So 1, 2, 3, 4 lets me mark off the horse, which then I can use to mark off this carrot over here. There we go. All right. Oops. Next one, desert or mountain. Yeah, these deserts aren't helping me much because I don't have any X's right next. Well, I could do that one and get the gem. That's probably better than 2 mountains. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3. Cross off another gem. Mountain or water. Is there another temple nearby over here? Whew, but that's going to be hard to get to. That one's going to be pretty far off. That one I already got. All right, let's go with water because then I can go here. 1, 2, cross off the fish. And any other water here that can give me some points? Not really, huh? So we'll cross off this water. All right, here we go. Next one is desert and water, or prairie and mountain. That desert, man, just does not leave me alone. All right, let's go with prairie and mountain. And I would go ahead and cross off 1, 2, 3. And that lets me cross off the apple. So I've got all 3 in this round. That's going to be helpful. Oh, and again, we're in round 3, so I should have crossed off the highest scoring temples in the quadrants that haven't been explored yet. So that would be B and C. So now only 8 points will be scored for the temples. Okay, so this new tile, water and mountain, or prairie and desert. Did I do this one already? Desert and water. Hold on a sec. Let me just make sure. What did I just cross off? I crossed off that one with prairie. Yeah, okay. I don't think I did this one. Sorry, I spaced out there for a second. So water and mountain, prairie and desert. Let's go with prairie and desert so that I can go 1, 2, 3 and at least start surrounding that village. And this one, water or prairie. Let's go with prairie so I can go 1, 2, at least have an X around that village. And I can do one more. Let's go over here and try and get close to that apple. So that's the end of round 3. Let's score over here. I will score 10 points in round 3. And over here for the gems, I will score 5 points. Okay, start of round 4. We're going to cross off the highest scoring temples in the 2 quadrants I have not yet explored the temple in. And we are going to shuffle these cards. I don't know if to call them cards or tiles or scrolls. All right, we're going to remove one of them. And this is round 4. Now I still have 1 key that I can use for a temple. Let's see if I can get to one. All right, first one is desert and water, or prairie and mountain. Let's go with prairie and mountain. So here's 1 mountain. I cross off a gem. Prairie and mountain. So that was 1. Let's go with 2 and 3. And I can cross off this apple. Next one, let's just flip it over this way. Prairie or water. Okay, we're going to go here on the water. Hopefully, I can get to that temple. So that's 1. And here we will go 2 and 3 and mark off another gem. Next one, we have prairie. Ooh, I wish I would have flipped it the other way. Then I could have gotten to that temple. But I cannot change my mind once it's flipped. So I can. So I would only get to cross off 2 mountains and I could get to that temple. And that might be worth it for me at this point. Again, this is the last round. So let's go ahead and do that. Cross off that key, get to this temple, scores me 6 points. So that's 1 mountain. I can cross off 1 more. What would be the best for me here? Maybe over here so that I can try to surround this village with 3 X's. I don't see anything else that's going to give me any sort of bonus right now. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to cross that one off. And more prairies coming out. Man, sure is a lot of prairie exploring here. I do like that I've been able to cover all 4 quadrants. I just wish I would have gotten more bonuses, but let's see. I have 3 tiles left, so this could change. And I'm going to choose the desert, even though it only lets me cross off 2. But I'll get this scroll, and that'll give me some flexibility coming near the end here. So cross off the scroll. Let's see what we got here. Water or desert. I do want to use the scroll now. So I'm going to cross it off, and I'm going to choose mountain as the terrain. I will cross off 1, 2, so I can get another gem. 3 up here so I can continue surrounding that village. And where could my fourth one be? Where could my fourth one be? Let's go over here. Maybe I'll cross that one off as well to surround that village. Okay, here we go. So mountain and water, desert and prairie. Let's go with mountain and water. Then I can cross this off. I can cross this off, and I've completely surrounded my starting village. And I get to do one more here. Another water, 3. And I've completely surrounded that village. All right. And for the final tile, we have water or mountain. Okay, so I can either do mountain and get another gem here, which would score me 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 points at the end. Or I can surround this village with water, and it'll give me 7 points. Let's do mountain. So I'm going to go 1. Oh no, but mountain, I can only do 2, so I wouldn't get to that gem. Whoops. Scratch that. Let's do water then. I'll go 1, 2, 3, and cross off the fish. So I've got the fish and the apple for this round. So that's the end of round 4. Let's see what we score. We're going to score 5 here. And then we're going to score 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 gems here. And I was able to find 3 temples. Not bad. This is how final scoring works. We have these conveniently placed boxes around here and down at the bottom. And then we're going to put our total score right here in the middle. So first, we're going to see our total score for the provisions. Just add up each round. 2, 4, 14 plus 5, 19. Villages we've surrounded. So in the A quadrant, we surrounded the village with 4 X's. So we're going to score 10 points there. In the B quadrant, again, surrounded the village with 4 X's. That's going to score me 10 points there. In the C quadrant, I surrounded it 3 times, 7 points. And in the D quadrant, only once. So that is 3 points. We add it all together. 10 plus 10, 20, 27, 30. Over here, we add up the gems. So that is 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 5 is 11, plus 8 is 19. We go over here to the bottom left and we add up the temples. So that's 10, 16, plus 10, 26. And this is objectives, which we are not playing with. So now we just add up our score. Let me bring out my handy dandy calculator here. And we're going to go 19 plus 30 plus 19 plus 26. 94. 94 points. And 94 points, if we look at our scale here for the solo game. Oh, that's not too bad. Last night I played and I scored under 80. So 94 falls in the 91 to 100 range. You are quite the seasoned explorer. Of course, if you score more than 120 points, there is no doubt you're the greatest explorer of all time. So I've got a ways to go before I get there, right? So this is Explorers. This is how you play. I really enjoy this game because of its simplicity. It's nice too when you're able to branch out and explore the lands. Of course, there's a limited number of turns each round, so you really need to plan it out well. If I wasn't recording, I could probably spend more time thinking about my turns. So that could be a little bit of a negative if you are playing with, players that have AP, analysis paralysis, and they could take a little longer on their turns. And even in the solo game, it could take a little longer. But that's that's a minor issue. As you can see, these boards are really, really glossy because of the dry erase marker, and that's a cool thing too. There's no sheets, so you can easily, you know, erase these and just play again and again. There's one set for every player, 4 of them. The markers are nice. I do wish they had an eraser, or they included some sort of little towel to erase these things, but again, that's a minor complaint. This game reminds me a lot of a Guild of Merchant Explorers from AEG. In fact, I'm going to do a solo playthrough of that so that you can compare. And I'll put a link up here. Where? Here? Is it here? I think it's here. If it's not here, it's going to be here. It's confusing when, when you're recording. So check one of these 2 corners, and I'll put a link up there once that playthrough is up, and you can compare the two. In Guild of Merchant Explorers, you're not drawing, but you are also flipping terrain types, and you're putting cubes on the map to represent the branching out. But there's a twist there, because every round you're going to wipe out the cubes, and you're going to start from, you know, depending on how far you've gotten out in the map. It's really interesting the way they do it. But this does remind me a little bit about that. However, it is different enough to have both games. And again, I won't get into that one. So let's get into how the advanced variant plays with Explorers. There's 2 things you can include in the advanced variant. One is objectives, or I guess they call them achievements. So once you've decided which 4 tiles you're going to play with, you're going to take the remaining 4 tiles and choose how many achievements you're going to play with. And the achievements are in the back. Okay, so you're going to choose from 1 to 3 achievements, and then you'll just, you know, lay them out. And these achievements are available to any player. And in the solo mode, of course, they're available to you. And they will score you a certain amount of points as well. So that is how you play with achievements. The other thing you can add are the expert rules. And in the expert rules, you're going to play with the backside of these tiles. So if we flip these over, you'll notice they are different. Let me flip this last one over. So in the expert rules, in the first round, you don't score for provisions. And in the remaining rounds, you're going to score for finding more of that provision type. So for example, in the second round, if you find 1 apple, you score 1 point. If you find 2 apples, 4, 3 apples, 9, and 4 apples, 16. The third round, you're going to be looking for carrots, and the fourth round, you're going to be looking for fish. So this is pretty cool. It doesn't make it more difficult in terms of rules. It just makes it more challenging in a different way of looking for provisions. Here for the villages, you're going to score for a single village instead of all 4. So you're going to pick the village that has the least number of surrounding X's. And then you will score accordingly here to the number of X's that surround it. These scores are higher, but again, you're only scoring 1 village. And then the gems become really interesting because every time you find a gem, you are going to cross it off here. So you find 2 gems, you cross it off there. You find 3 gems, you cross it off there. If the number is negative on the gem, you keep crossing it off. Once you get to the positive numbers, you circle them. Okay? And then at the end of the round, if there are remaining negative numbers uncrossed, you total them and you gain the negative result. If there are circled positive numbers, you total them to gain the points. So it's really a race to find a lot of gems because you don't want to score negative points, right? And finally, the temples, you're going to score the temples the normal way, but now each temple scores you 8 points, and then the first player to explore that temple scores an additional 3 points, the second player scores an additional 2, and the third scores an additional 1. So the base score for each temple is the same, but you get a bonus for being first or, you know, getting there before any other player. So those are the expert rules, the advanced rules. Again, they change the game, but they don't complicate it. I love when variants are like that. Have you played Explorers? Is this something that, if you haven't played, would catch your eye? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when new playthroughs go up, new reviews, new previews, any Redford content. I know that's what you're here for. Sorry he's not here today, but he does go to school, believe it or not. So thank you for watching this entire playthrough. I hope you've seen something you've enjoyed. Again, Explorers from Ravensburger. And that's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.